Alright, let's look at the homework 4.9, problem number 10. Alright, so it says this, a car braked with a constant deceleration of 8 feet per square second, producing skid marks measuring 100 feet. So it takes 100 feet to come to a stop. How fast was the car traveling when the brakes were first applied? Alright, so let's do that. Right, so we have a car. Let's say the point where the brake is applied is 0, and it came to a stop after 100 feet, so it's 100 feet there. Right, so let's start with the acceleration. Right, so acceleration would be a of t. So it's going to be negative 8 feet per square second. Right, then if you take the antiderivative, we can find velocity function. So v of t is equal to antiderivative of negative 8 with respect to time. So it's simply negative 8t plus some constant, I'm going to call it c1. Right, but the initial velocity is v0. So if you do v of 0 is going to be equal to c1, which is going to be v0. Right? So the complete formula of the velocity function is negative 8t plus initial velocity v0, which we don't know yet. Right? Then we can do a position function. So I'm going to use p of t. It's going to be antiderivative of the velocity function, which is negative 8t plus v of 0, v sub 0, with respect to t. Right, so this will give you antiderivative of negative 8t would be negative 4t squared. Antiderivative of v0 would be v0t. Right, and plus some constant c2. Right, position at the time 0, it would be 0. So if you plug in 0, so C2 is going to be 0. So we're going to have negative 4t squared plus v0t. Right? Alright, so using the fact that it took 100 feet to stop, so when does it stop? Here, the velocity is 0, so v of t is actually 0. So let's use that to find the time. So v of t is negative 8t plus v0. So if you set that equal to 0, we can see that, let's say solve for t. So t is going to be equal to v0 over 8, right? So we know that at this point, the position is going to be 100. So we're going to put the p of position function. We plug in v0 over 8. We'll get here. So this is a position function. So negative 4. Then we have a v0 over 8 squared plus v0 times v0 over 8. And this is supposed to be equal to 100. Right? So here's the equation we can solve. Let's see. So if you simplify this, right? So we have, let's see. So 4 and 1 of the 8 cancel out. Maybe I'll write it as negative v0 squared over, right? And so you have 8 squared would be 64. Divided by 4 would be 16. Right, so 16, and plus we have a v0 squared over 8. So v0 squared over 8 is same thing as 2 times v0 squared over 16. So this is going to be actually just a v0 squared over 16, which is supposed to be equal to 100. So if you multiply through by 16, we get the v0 squared is equal to 1600. So if you take the square root, we have a v0 comes out to be plus or minus 440, right? In this case, we're talking about positive velocity. So you have positive 40 feet per second, right? So let's type it in. Right, answer is 40, right? Let's check the answer. All right, it came back and looks like we got this one correctly, right? That's it. I hope that this was clear.